Good afternoon, this is Salford Now with Grace Clark
and Ali Hussein. Coming on today's programme. Winter is coming, which means colder weather and darker skies. For those who suffer from seasonal affective disorder, the months ahead are a challenging time.
We do know that when the clocks change, that because that can affect your sleep, it can, of course, then have sort of a knock-on effect in terms of.
The buzz around town is that there's 2 new cycle routes joining the B network in Salford, and RHS Bridgewater are promoting the benefits of cycling.
We're not talking about everybody suddenly just giving up the car. During the school holidays, the traffic only drops by about 8%, so that's the equivalent of everybody who currently drives to work, for example, not leaving the car at home one day a fortnight.
Hello, your top story today. 3 Salford charities are uniting their efforts to break down the stigma around mental health.
There were over 5,000 suicides registered in 2021 in England and Wales, and that number is continuing to rise in 2022. These charities are banding together to try to prevent suicide. Hannah Patterson has the details.
Myself, I'm a multiple attempt survivor, so it's basically about a lot of what you see and hear today will be about my journey to recovery. Sadly, in 2008 and 2010, where we had the last economic crisis, we saw an extra 1,000 deaths to suicide. So with that economic downturn that we're going to be seeing over the coming months through winter, we actually think that there's going to be dire need for people to get that extra support, not just economically, but also emotionally with their well-being as well.
Bakehouse 32 provided free pizza to all attendees to get conversation flowing about mental health. I spoke to 2 men from Salford about why they are here supporting the cause.
Because there's too many people with mental health suffering in silence because the help's not out there. They're not promoting the help. They're not putting it out there for people to get in touch. No, there's no agencies. It's just a new thing that's coming. All this mental health. Everyone's been suffering for years. I mean, they need to step up the support. I've tried mental health before. You know what I mean? Mental health. I'm slashed up. I mean, I've got a CPN and at me. I mean, and I caught up and I didn't get no help. They sewn it up and just kept me out of hospital. That's what they done. You can to try and get the help that you need. You know what I mean? Because I've got the support now, but it's not enough now. It's getting up there, but it's still not enough.
I'm only here because I'm homeless and I need to get myself sorted. I moved there when I was 13. I'm 36 years of age. And I've been growing up over here and I'm just homeless. Yeah, it's been hard, yeah, but I'm trying my best.
We, at the moment, have at least 120 people a day coming into our centre for some form of support. And days like this and bringing something a little bit different whilst obviously overlooking and sort of talking about a really important subject is really important for us to be able to bring that to our community.
Hannah Patterson, Salford
It is great to see Salford charities raising awareness of the help that's out there.
Yeah, definitely. And with winter approaching, it's more important than ever.
This season can be a really difficult time for anyone suffering from seasonal affective disorder. Elizabeth Thieker has been finding out more.
And I have my keys in my hand and I can't open the door. Like, I just can't bring myself to leave the house because I just can't do it when I'm in that kind of state.
This is the reality of seasonal affective disorder, also known as SAD, a type of depression that affects seasonally rather than all year round.
I'm more in winter. I think it's more when it's dark outside. Like, winter itself isn't too much of an issue for me, but the second it gets dark, so if I leave like work and it's dark outside and I have to walk home and I feel really like bummed down by it. Finding out what seasonal affective disorder was when I was doing A-level psychology, and it was just like a little snippet in a textbook. I came across it and I was looking at all of the symptoms and thinking I relate to all of these. It was a bit strange because at first I was like, oh, well, I thought everyone felt this way, and then I had a look through and I was like, okay, this is a disorder, this isn't like a normal thing.
Studies show that around 2 million people suffer with SAD in the UK, and they are mostly affected during the winter months. New methods of treatment are practiced and tested by psychiatrists to help those who need support during the darker months.
But if it starts to affect your functioning, then I think it's important to go and see your local GP and look at options. And what they tend to normally advise is to look at things like cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. You might have heard of that before. And sometimes if the depression is severe, they'll look at the use of antidepressants.
These methods are being put into practice, and people can even access them from home, including light therapy.
So I've tried to get more natural light and things like that, but obviously it's quite difficult when it's dark, and I've looked into getting a seasonal affective disorder lamp that you can get where it like stimulates natural sunlight, but they're really expensive. So in the meantime I've got myself like a sunrise alarm clock that it gradually lights your room up as you wake up, so it kind of feels like there's a sunrise in your room, but you can tell that it's not natural light, and it makes such a difference when it is natural.
If you think you are suffering with symptoms associated with SAD, contact your GP or check out the NHS website for more information. Liz Theaker, Salford Now.
There is, of course, a lot to look forward to this time of the year.
Absolutely. We've already had Halloween and Christmas isn't too far away. But this weekend it's bonfire night, and we wanted to find out how you can stay safe while enjoying the festivities.
Owen Adams is live from Atom Fireworks Shop in Eccles.
Thanks guys, I am here at Atom Fireworks here in Salford, 3 times fireworks champions by the way, and I am joined by Jay from Atom Fireworks. So Jay, thank you very much for joining me. We spoke to Greater Manchester Fire and Rescue Team today, and they gave some advice to anyone. If you can, go to some organised fireworks displays here in and around Salford. So what is your thoughts on that advice? And if they can't go to the organised events, what advice would you give to stay safe for home displays?
Yeah, well, the fire brigade's advice to go to a professional display is obviously paramount. We do professional displays as well as having this retail shop. So if you're going to a firework display that's run by professionals, of course it's going to be safe. Having said that, there's going to be big crowds there, it's going to be dark, younger kids might be intimidated, so having fireworks at your home isn't such a bad idea for those audiences. In a nutshell, both sides of that, it's great that fireworks are still being used. Bonfire night's a 400-year-old tradition, one of the few that we still celebrate. And yeah, it's just great advice from them. And from our side, just follow the firework, the code. Be safe, read the packaging, do what it says. More importantly, go to a reputable, sale. Come to a shop where you've got professionals like us who can tell you what's suitable for your garden, your situation, and what to do with them.
And it's quickly, there's a lot of negative connotations around fireworks. What would you say for those people who are don't like fireworks?
I'd say, firework events make a lot of money for charities that's pumped back into the communities, helps support some small schools that do it to raise funds. There's a lot of good to come from fireworks, and the regulations around them are more than fine. The only thing that's problematic with them is antisocial use of fireworks. Not the law, not the fireworks themselves, the people that are using them. And by that I mean they're getting into the wrong hands.
Well, thank you very much for that advice, Jay. Now, we would give a rendition of Katy Perry Firework. We were very up for that, but we haven't got time. We're going to throw it back to Thomas, who has got the news wrap.
A man's been charged with rape following an incident at a Salford retail park on Sunday. Greater Manchester Police said that 25-year-old John Hawkins from West Horton has been charged with 1 count of rape. Manchester United legend Gary Neville has stepped down as CEO of Salford City. His former teammate Nicky Butt has taken over the role today and is now in charge of the day-to-day running of the club, but Neville will still remain part of the club as co-owner. Rail passengers will be facing further disruption over the next week as staff strike once again over pay and working conditions. The RMT will hold the strikes on the 5th, the 7th and the 9th of November. Some Salford commuters had mixed views on the matter.
Quite irritating. It's hard to get a train, I've had to wait over an hour today just to get a train home.
Personally, I actually love the train workers. They work so hard, so I actually agree with the strikes that they're doing.
Thank you, Thomas. There's 2 new cycle routes in Salford, taking the grand total up to 111.
RHS Bridgewater has been promoting the health benefits of choosing to cycle. Faye Seeger reports.
The starting bell on what hopes to be a cycling revolution in Manchester. As part of the unified public transport network called the B Network, 2 new cycle paths have opened in Salford. And getting on your bike has mental as well as physical benefits.
Everybody and anyone. Traffic's a massive problem for Salford. Inactivity for people, mental well-being, physical well-being. These are all massive social challenges for us. Air quality, massive issues for everybody. It's not about people just either getting rid of the cars and never using it, or even if you don't drive, anyone can use this new infrastructure.
And this all-women's cycle group welcome the new infrastructure.
Yeah, it's a long way to go, but yeah, hopefully there's developments and that's all to the good. We just need more of it, more infrastructure and more recognition for us cyclists on the road. And yeah, I think the more bikes on the road, surely there'll come a time when, you know, people will realise that's the way to go with environmental issues as they are and traffic as it is in this day, so it's got to be good.
Cycling around town has never been easier, according to Chris.
Anyone can use this new infrastructure to make short trips within their local community.
And today, for Margaret, it's a celebration in more ways than one.
And today is actually my 500th breeze ride.
This is
wow, well done. Bit of a celebration.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Faye Seeger. Salford Now.
The new theatre adaptation of the award-winning film Shawshank Redemption is now showing at the Lowry Theatre in Salford.
Our reporter Mia Fitton spoke to actor Ben Onwugwe, who plays prisoner Red Redding, following yesterday's opening night.
Is there a lot of pressure to do well in this play because the movie is so iconic and so well praised?
I think there is a lot of pressure because 99.9% of the audience come expecting to see something that echoes, looks like, sounds like, and feels like the film. So we have to inhabit that as best we can, you know, so the pressure's on.
So how was the opening last night at the Lowry?
It was sensational. I mean, beyond our expectations. We've been on the road now for 10 weeks, going to various theatres around the country, and Mondays are always like, oh, we're in new town, new people, new audience, do they know we're here? And there's always a suggestion that, because there's a poster outside saying that we're here, but is anybody going to come? And thankfully a good Manchester audience turned up. We had a fairly full house, which is spectacular.
Was Salford up there for crowds?
Up there, totally up there. And they're very responsive and very, very reactive and positive, which is great. You know, I think from what I can tell, Manchester/Salford has a really strong, vibrant theatre-going audience.
Mia Fitton, Salford Now.
Because that's everything from us. Stay up to date with what's happening in Salford on our Twitter @SalfordNow.
Have a great evening. Goodbye.
Goodbye.